Private First Class Bradley Manning is facing sentencing this morning. On Tuesday, Manning was found not guilty of the most controversial of the 22 counts charged against him, that's aiding the enemy. But he was still found guilty on 17 of 22 counts against him and faces decades in prison. The counts include 8 charges filed against him under the 1917 Espionage Act.
I think now both sides are going to be presenting their own case for why the sentencing should be at the higher as opposed to the lower end of the range that's feasible. One of the things that's critical about the fact that the judge threw out the aiding the enemy charge is that what is left is a series of offenses, each of which has a maximum of 10 years, some of them 2 years. So the judge has a lot of room.
What are the upper and lower limits? I assume the upper limit is life in prison. Fortunately, the death penalty is not on the table, as I understand it. What's the sort of bottom end?
The bottom end would be, first of all, it's not about, life in prison as such is not actually anymore. This was what aiding the enemy was about. It's if under certain circumstances, which are much more common in the civilian than the military courts, the 10-year sentences are served consecutively, it will in practice be life. But that's not how things usually are according to military practice. Usually sentences are served concurrently in many cases, certainly if there are overlapping facts. So at the lower end, at the lower end is not much more than he's already served, although one would be surprised if that was the actual outcome, but that's certainly possible as a technical legal matter. If he's looking at something like 10 to 20 years, which would be most of the sentences running at their maximum allowable, but concurrently as opposed to consecutively, that is a very long time. But again, with the military system for credit for time spent and parole, this is a very different story from life in prison.